Okay, so I'm using Red Heart Super Saver yarn and a 5mm hook. I just started by making a flat circle, so increase 6 stitches every row. I did it until I had 24 stitches, and then I did 1 row no increasing, working only in the front or the back loop. That gives me this. I then did 2 solid rows, no increases, and then right here I worked only in the front loop. I found that gave it more of a crisp corner, and I'm going to keep increasing 6 stitches every row, and that's going to give it that lip. So that's going to be the snout of your piggy. And I kept going, I think it was about 60 stitches. I like to flip the tail over the front like that to mark where I stop increasing. And then I believe I did 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 rows. And then I'm going to start doing the ear. So I did it about 8 stitches wide. And you can see I only worked in the front loop for those 8 stitches. You can make it bigger or smaller if you want to. Work across, and then we're going to turn it. You can see the little back loops there. I'm just going to work my way back across those same 8 stitches. And that's just for the first row. After that, you're going to be skipping that first stitch right there and going over, so it's going to naturally decrease to give you that pointy ear. So I've got to the top here, and there's probably a better way to do this. I'm horrible at picking up stitches on the side, but just work your way back down and make sure that's on the left side with your snout looking out at you so that you can continue the row over and put on the next ear. And I think I did 10 stitches between the 2 ears, and you can do whatever you want on that. So there's my 2 ears. And so for the next round, when you get around, you're just going to pick up that back loop there and work behind the ear. And I think after that I did 4 more rows of just solid, no change. And then after that I started decreasing the same way I increased. So 6 stitches every row, and that's going to bring it back in. And then I remembered I had to put eyes in before I closed it up too much, so I popped those in. And then I continued going around and decreasing just until however big the neck hole is that you want. I left it kind of big. I wanted it to be a nice plump piggy. And if you wanted to, you could pin those ears down, but they seem to stay down pretty good. And it always annoys me when something's pinned down on a stuffed animal. So just pull out a little bit of your string. You're going to use that to sew the head on later. And then for the body, you're going to start it the same way. If you can do a magic loop, that would probably work better than this, but I haven't been able to figure that out yet. So you're just going to do the same thing, increasing 6 stitches every row. And I wanted the body to be a little bigger, so I think I went until I had 72 stitches this time. You can't really tell there's a difference, but... And then you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to do some solid rows. And 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I did, I think, 5 more rows there. And you can see where I have the increases. I wanted to start kind of in the middle of the increases, so I worked my way over. Tried to get it centered as best as I could. I worked 1 stitch only in the front loop, and then you're going to do a chain. I think I did 10 or 12 stitches. You could do more if you wanted it to be a longer tail. So just chain those up. And then you're going to work your way back down. So in every stitch, you're going to put 2 stitches. So you're going to double your number. Well, not quite double because you skipped that first one to turn. And that's what's going to give it that little curly Q. If you're making it bigger, you could do like a double crochet or a triple crochet if you want it really wide, but my piggy didn't come out that big. So when you get back to the end, you're going to do that next stitch, only working in the front loop. And you're going to continue around. And the same thing as with the ears, you're just going to pick up those 2 back loops on your way back. So after the row I picked up under the tail, I think I only did 1 more solid row. Yeah, it looks like 1. And then I marked it. So the tail was the back. I counted and marked straight across and then halfway, and that's going to give me the division for my 4 legs. So I'm right at the piggy tail here, and I did a chain. I think it ended up being 15 stitches. Then you can see I took out that first bobby pin and I attached that on, and I think I attached it with 2 stitches. And then I did another chain of 15. And when you're hooking this on, make sure it's not twisted up or anything on you. Went to the next bobby pin, hooked it on. I think the pin near the head, I only attached it with 1 stitch, and the 2 on the side, I did 2 stitches. I think that just helped my numbers come out more even. So once you get back to the beginning, back at the tail again, you can see that's kind of how I'm going to pull the legs in. You're going to keep going around the outside of that first leg. And I didn't do any increasing or decreasing on this first row around. So when I get to this point here, I did work in that stitch where I attached the chain and then worked my way around the chain. I like this way of doing legs because you can do it for pretty much any animal, and I would rather have to reattach and crochet them right on rather than make the legs separately and sew them on, because I am not good at getting those on straight, which you will see later on. So the first time I went around, I didn't do any increasing or decreasing. The second time I counted, I had 34 stitches, so I took the second round to correct that to a multiple of 6, so I decreased 4, which brings me down to an even 30. So now what I'm going to do is do 1 solid row, and then do 1 row decreasing 6. 1 solid row, 1 decreasing 6. So basically like the same thing here, but every other row, which will bring it to a point. And then I'll go probably until I have 6 stitches, maybe 12 stitches left, and then I'll close up the end of the foot. So I finished up that first leg, ran the string inside, and then secured that in. And you're going to do the same thing for the other 3 legs. And for some reason the front legs had 32 stitches and the back legs had 34. So I should have left those strings at the end longer, so then I could have sewn it up with those easier, but oh well. I used what I had. Now for the 2 seams on the sides of the piggy, I tried to do those shorter than the front one and the back one because I thought that would kind of elongate the body a little bit more. But you can just do them in evenly if you want to too. It's not going to make that much of a difference. So there I was, happily finishing up my piggy and sewing it all up when I realized I forgot to stuff it. And I had a tiny hole left, so I just took the back end of my crochet hook and shoved it in there. It's a little lumpy because of that, but I think once it's played with and maybe washed, that'll loosen up and it'll get a little more fluffy. So after the body was done, all that was left was to stuff the head and sew that on, which you will see I tried to mark it with bobby pins because I didn't know where my stitch markers were, and the bobby pins were within reach. But they didn't help a whole lot because, as you're going to see, it's still horribly cockeyed, but I don't think he'll mind. And once the head was on, that was it. He came out pretty good. I think the little boy is going to like him for his birthday next month. And it really didn't take long, maybe a couple of days. Not very long at all.